Hello out there. Someone asked me to asked me some questions about the structured sides that I'm doing, and I thought it'd just be easier to make a quick video here. So structured sides, basically, you have your normal side, which would be bent generally from one piece of wood, right? Like I guess maybe a 3mm side that was bent into one piece, or you could laminate a side maybe from, I don't know what they use, two 1.5mm laminations. But the structure side is an outer lamination. I make it 1.5 millimeters, an inner lamination, which is 1 millimeter. And in this situation, in the way I do it, I do a 5.5 millimeter core. And the core is kerfed in the same way that your lining would be kerfed, but it goes the full size of the guitar. So it looks like this, basically. This is for a classical guitar. So when you laminate it up, you get a side that looks like this. This is out of the mold. I had tape on here, but otherwise this is pretty much how it would look. So I get my inner outer lamination, they're glued up, and I use Gorilla Glue, so you got all this foamy stuff that I have to clean off. But you can see the basic structure of it. I make my cores on my CNC with a 1/4-inch bit, so I get the pretty wide empty spot here. You can also do this with a table saw, and then you'd have a narrower kerf, and that could be good in that you'd have some more wood. It would be bad in that might be a little bit harder to bend into the curves. But anyway, that sort of, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do this. This is the way that I've been doing it for a while. So, what to say about it? When you glue these up, you just glue them up in a normal mold like this. And I would, this is my Selmer cutaway mold, so I would bend the inner and outer laminations on here. And then actually I've been lately starting to put the inner lamination on the inside and the outer lamination on the outside, and then I'll flip them around. It just gives a tighter bend, specifically for this cutaway on the Selmer, which is a real pain in the butt to make it work. So so I put the inner one and the outer one, bend that, and then I bend the core separately. So I'll bend them, and then I laminate them in this mold. And actually this mold is going to get, for the record, is going to get cut down to be more normal shaped. I was experimenting with vacuum bagging these, and I'm not going to do that anymore. So this is a full-size mold. I only use a half mold. I don't actually have for the Selmer I do have both sides of the mold, but for like the classical guitar I only have a half mold. I don't use the whole mold. I'll tell you about that in a second. But just use 1,000,000 clamps and clamp pads, and then this, so I put the outer lamination, the core, the inner lamination, and this gluing block, and then 1,000,000 clamps to squeeze the crap out of it, just to get the clamping pressure really easy. I did try vacuum bagging it, and it sort of worked, but for various reasons I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't think it really adds it doesn't give you anything, it doesn't do anything particularly beneficial. In this case, just for the record, I actually will use the mold this is actually the miter for my cutaway. So I take a Japanese saw and I cut along this edge to cut my miter. So like in this situation, this is, let's see here, oops. You can see this is cut along that edge. So that's my cutaway, and same down here. Yeah. So what else? One thing I've changed. Normally, I think traditionally in this world of structured sides, the core is always like this, where the kerf is on the inside. With the Selmer cutaway, I've had a lot of trouble getting this to bend nicely, and I recently did a two-sided core, basically. So this is the majority of it is kerfed on the inside, but on the cutaway, it's kerfed on the outside. Do you see how that kerfed on two sides? So it can take this crazy curve better, because in my experience, the core always jams up in this corner, and it causes problems because I'm looking to get a perfect fair curve here that I don't want to have to do any too much sanding on, because it's very easy to go through this, sand through this. And this is the nicest one I've done. So that is that. I also, just for the record, I used, if you've watched the Ken Parker videos on bending, he epoxies linen to the outside of the curve when he bends it. And I wanted to do that, but I was too lazy to get the linen off. But then Linda Manzer said she does basically the same thing, but she uses peel ply, which is fabric, this fabric. You can buy this from West System. And the nice thing about this is it actually sticks really well, and you'd think it sticks like linen, but if you grab the corner of it, you can peel it right off. And what it does is prevent the outer layer from breaking. And this is the texture that it leaves, but that's just sealed with epoxy, and I'm gonna pour fill this anyway, so that's already done. What else to tell you about? Just quickly, I'm not sure who really invented it, but Sergei Dijon got it from another Canadian luthier, I think. Got the idea from it. He did it a little bit, and then stopped doing it, and then Michael Kennedy and Jeremy Clark in Montreal started doing it, inspired by Sergei, and they kind of have really pushed it to where it is today, which is cool. And what does it do for me, other than make all these parts in a mess here? What it does is make an extremely stiff, in my understanding of it, makes a very stiff rib assembly. Now I can put this guitar together, classical guitar, and I can put an 80-pound weight right here when the halves are glued together, and it really doesn't deflect at all. The ribs are very, very stiff. I think it deflects, but you can't see it deflect, so maybe microscopically deflects, or a millimeter or something, but it can handle a lot of weight. What is that? Why would you want to do that? Well, I'm not really an acoustic science guy, but but I try to think of things sort of conceptually or metaphorically. If you thought of this as like a swimming pool, right? And you dropped a pebble into the water of the swimming pool, the waves are going to go to the wall of the pool, and they're going to hit the wall. Now, if the wall was made out of plastic, like a kiddie pool, that wave might hit that wall and sort of dissipate into the pool and not really reflect back. But if it's a concrete pool with a really heavy wall, when that sound wave, or the wave in the water hits that wall, instead of dissipating it, it's actually going to bounce, because there's going to be like a nodal area, and so the wave is going to hit here and then return. And so what I think the structured sides do, from my limited understanding of things, is that it's keeping all the vibration in this area where you want it. This is the soundboard area, and this is where all the vibration is happening. We're not expecting the ribs to make noise, and the back, the vibrations are not going through the sides to the back. As far as I understand it, they're vibrating the back from the vibration of the soundboard, and then if the back is actually doing anything, it's because the sound waves are hitting that. So we don't really want to lose vibration into the ribs. The other thing I think it does is make this crazy stiff rib structure, and the top could kind of be a little bit thinner, and I think less structurally stiff, and have the same overall stiffness, because the ribs are sort of accepting some of the stress that the top would normally have to deal with. Because the ribs are so stiff, the top can kind of get away with being a little bit more supple and pliable, and giving it a little more space to vibrate. So, I was going to mention about the half mold. So I make these halves, and like I showed you earlier, I can slice this on the mold, and I'll have pretty close to a mitered edge, but it's not going to be exact. So it will need a little touching up, but I'll show you on the Selmer here. So I don't have to, these are so stiff, I don't see any advantage of gluing them in a mold. So what I do is basically I have a little bit of a sort of a clamping thing here. I will get this joint to be perfect, and then I kind of just put a clamp right there, and glue that joint. And the nice thing about that is I can see everything, and I can make sure that the end grain lines up really nicely. And so I don't usually put in an end graft because I get this nice continuity between the wood, and I can sort of see it in real time before I glue it, see exactly what it's going to look like, and then I can glue it. This is going to need there's a little bit of a gap there, so I'm going to need to take a little plane action to get that out, but it's pretty close. This is right off the mold, and this is that is the miter right off the mold. Okay, so again, needs a little bit of touch up, but pretty good. And that's it. I don't know what else to say. Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue is important. You don't want to use a glue with any moisture in it. I've had issues with them with the sides sort of curling in, and I don't know why I have that issue, but I believe if the wood is wet off the bender, it can contribute to it. But Gorilla Glue has no moisture in it. I think I'm going to I've tried Gorilla Glue Clear, and I think that might actually be the superior one to use for this, but any glue without moisture in it is important. You don't want to really introduce moisture into these laminates. I told you about the peel ply. Oh, and the wood for the core, I usually use basswood or poplar. I would say basswood's slightly preferable. Oh, basswood, poplar, or some sort of mahogany, whatever. It really does not. It doesn't matter. The wood is not vibrating. So this is a 5.5 millimeter core that I haven't curved yet, but the wood's not vibrating, so it doesn't really do anything. Just a lightweight, easy to bend wood is good. And then for the inner layer, just anything that's easily bendable, 1 millimeter. I don't have an example of it, but when I'm done with this, I'm going to cover this with some wallpaper, basically some artist paper. And so the inside of my guitars have this nice wallpaper inside. So I'm not really too concerned with what this wood actually looks like, because I'm going to cover it up, but just stuff that bends nicely and is well behaved. And I think that's it. So, oh, and what, yeah, I mean, since I started making these guitars, I really started doing this very early on when I started making my own guitars, and I feel like, however good my guitars sound, 30-40% of whatever's happening is because of this. That's my feeling. I mean, I have no way to prove it because this is the only kind of guitar I make at this point, but I think my guitars sound good. People say they're loud, and I think this this construction method is a big part of it. This is Paduke, and when I bent it, it stained the inside of the wood. Again, this is all going to get covered up, so I'm not particularly worried about it, but I'll give that a sanding to get some of that staining out. That's it.